Hello, Boldarians, and welcome back to Boldly Becoming. I think it's been a minute since we did a video. I think our last recap we did audio. So welcome back. I'm back. You see me. Now, usually when I sit down to record a monthly recap, and I spend time reflecting on the lessons from each episode and the themes, of course, that connect them together. But we're going to do something different this month because July felt different. Somewhere between writing the episode, recording the episodes, and living out these episodes, I realized God was doing something in me that I didn't really understand or recognize at first. So when July began, I really thought and was confirmed that this month's theme was visibility. I knew at that time that God wanted me to be seen in my calling, my voice, my gifts, seen in the parts of myself that I had spent years minimizing. And while I still believe that was part of it, by the end of the month, I realized visibility was not the destination. It was a result. And that realization made me change the entire recap. So what you're about to listen to now was not the original recap that I had already written out. The real work God was doing was much deeper because throughout July, I kept returning to one realization, and I did a whole episode about it. The warrior doesn't live here anymore. Now, when I recorded episode 45, I thought I was writing about the warrior. If you have not listened to that episode yet, please go back and listen to it. What I didn't realize was I was writing about what happens when the warrior finally steps aside. For most of my life, I became who I needed to become. Really. And I'm still becoming that. I became disciplined. I became resilient. I became dependable, responsible. And I became the person who could carry heavy things. And I am very grateful for her. I don't reject her. I don't resent her. And I don't wish she had been any different. She carried me through seasons that required strength that at some point in my life, I didn't even recognize that I possessed that strength. She showed up when life was hard. She showed up when responsibilities were heavy. She showed up when disappointment arrived. And if you don't know who she is, I'm talking about the warrior in me. And I want you to reflect that this is probably the warrior in you as well. She showed up when survival was the assignment. And for that, I'm going to always honor her. But what I've come to understand is that the warrior wasn't only protecting me from the world, she was protecting me from the things inside of me. Old disappointments, old wounds, old fears, old beliefs. Trauma that had been sitting quietly beneath the surface for years. And it wasn't because I was avoiding it, not because I was unwilling to face it, but because the warrior was so busy helping me survive that I never had the space to fully see what she had been standing in front of. And so when I finally looked, I realized the wounds were still there, but the stronghold wasn't. My warrior didn't erase all the pain, but it didn't have a stronghold on me. The memories were still there, but the power wasn't. The experience was still part of my story. I couldn't change that. But they were no longer directing it. And for years, I thought healing meant making sure that wound disappeared. Now, and today, right now, at this moment, I think healing is being able to look directly at it and realize that it no longer controls you. I don't have to run from it. I can face it. Healing is recognizing that the thing that once had authority over your life no longer has a vote. And to be honest, that realization changed me. Because the biggest transformation hasn't been visibility. It has been and hasn't even been this podcast. And I love Boldly Becoming. I love being a Boldarian. And I hope that you guys do too. It hasn't even been the healing that came from releasing a long-term relationship that defined much of my adult life. The biggest transformation is that I'm watching a woman who spent most of her life carrying things begin to trust that God can carry them too. And I know for some of you out there, that might sound very simple. But for someone whose identity was built around being strong, being responsible, being dependable, and carrying the weight, that is a profound act of faith. And every time I release something into God's hands, I am declaring that His shoulders are stronger than mine. Every time I stop trying to control an outcome, I am declaring that His plans are better than mine. And every time I choose peace over striving, I am declaring that God is still God, even when I am not managing every detail. And little by little, prayer by prayer, surrender by surrender, God has been changing me. Not into someone weaker, not into someone less disciplined, not even into someone less resilient, but into someone freer. When I look back at July, I see how every episode was pointing to this truth. When we talked about being seen, I really wasn't talking about visibility. I was talking about finally feeling safe enough to stop hiding. When we talked about building a life we don't want to escape from, I wasn't really talking about vacations. I was talking about stewardship. I was talking about healing. I was talking about creating a life that feels aligned with who God created us to be. When we talked about romanticizing our actual lives, I wasn't talking about pretending life is perfect. Because we know, you know, and I know life is not perfect. Far from it, actually. I was talking about recognizing God's goodness while the story is still unfolding. And when we arrive at the warrior doesn't live here anymore, everything clicked. The warrior was never the destination. The warrior was the bridge. A bridge between who I was and who God was calling me to become. And I believe that that mirrors a lot of our lives, that even though I was talking about my warrior, I believe your warrior in you is also a bridge. And maybe that's what I want to leave with you today. Perhaps there is a version of yourself that helped you survive, a version that carried responsibilities no one knew about, a version that endured heartbreak, fought battles in silence, the version that got you here. I want you to honor that version. Thank that version of you. But don't assume that version is where your story ends. Because some versions of us are assigned to a season, not a lifetime. And perhaps the greatest act of faith is believing that God can call us beyond survival, beyond endurance, beyond protection. And that can go into joy. Our warrior is amazing, but I don't think our joy lands and sits inside our warrior. It sits inside us, into purpose, into trust, into becoming. I thought July was about being seen by others, but maybe God's greatest gift this month was helping me see what He had been doing in me all along. And I hope that He's showing that to you as well, or what He's been doing in your life all along. So before we close, I just want to speak this over you. If this month has taught me anything, it's that God is always working beneath the surface, even when we can't see it. So wherever you are today, I pray that you would begin to recognize the ways God has always been transforming you. I pray that He gives you the courage to release whatever you've been carrying, no matter how heavy, how painful it is. I pray that He reminds you that your worth has never been found in how much you can endure, how much you can accomplish, or how much you can hold together. Your worth has always been found in the simple truth that yep, right there, you see me, I see you too, that you belong to Him. If you've been surviving for a long time, I pray that this becomes the season where you begin living again, thriving again. And if you've been hiding, I pray you discover that you're already fully seen by the one who created you. If you have been striving, which is nothing's wrong with that, but I pray you experience the peace that comes from surrender. And if you've been wondering whether healing is really possible, I hope July reminds you that healing isn't forgetting your story. It's discovering that your story no longer has authority over your future. May you continue trusting God one step at a time, choosing faith over fear. May you continue becoming exactly who God created you to be. And may you never forget that the same God who carried you through yesterday is already waiting for you in tomorrow. And he's here with you in the present. So thank you for spending another month with me. Thank you for growing with me. Thank you for becoming with me. Until next time, keep living boldly, keep walking in purpose, and keep becoming everything God created you to be. We're going to talk real soon because we're about to enter into probably the best month ever. And I'm biased about that because my birthday is in August. But this is also the last month of season 4 Reloaded. So we're about to have a finale. We're having our finale month of our season. And I definitely want to let you know because I've already gotten the topics, already written out the episodes, even already recorded some of them. I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to you're not going to want to miss August. August is going to be fire. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you tell your friends and listen. So I will see you guys soon. Actually, the next time I see you guys will be Monday. Talk to you later.